Morning all. It is the 28th of October 2023. Happen to have a very nice, beautiful, warm fall day here. Probably the warmest day we'll have until late next spring, so I'm taking advantage of it. Don't have to work today, so I have some things I'm hoping to get done today and some things to show you before I get started. I'm going to be working on three things today. One of them is very minor, a couple of them are bigger. For instance, I should be able to reinstall my bumper today. I still need to remove this reverse fixture here and remount it because I didn't quite get it correct the last time. One of the tabs is sticking through from the metal retaining plate around the back. The minor thing is I got a replacement backing plate here. This is for the pull handles. This design only exists on the 67s. You won't find this on the 66. You will find the pull handles, but not the backing plate that goes right here. This left rear door was missing this backing plate for some reason, so I found a used one. I believe the place was called Lyons Vintage Auto Parts. I think they might be out of Kentucky. I need to verify all that, but they didn't have much, but they did have one of these, and it was inexpensive. I mean, this isn't in great condition, but when you don't have one at all, it's better than nothing. So I'm going to put that on for my future daily driver. And the other thing is, if all goes well and the bumper install goes relatively quickly, then I will endeavor to remove what's left of the dash, because if you watched that video several videos ago, there's these two nuts that sit above here that are hidden, that are needed to secure the steering column up in place. And both nuts have spun loose, and I can't get to them unless I completely remove the dash so I can get behind it and figure out a way to resecure those nuts. So that's the goal for today. We'll see how we do. A couple of small detail things. These handles can be installed upside down, so you got to make sure the little rubber bumpers are on the bottom part. They're kind of hard to see because they're so small. Let's see if I can get a, there we go. Yeah, you should be able to see that right in the center, the little black rubber bumper thing. That's supposed to be on the bottom because you can install them upside down. And likewise, this backing plate that goes on here has a little indentation right there for those black bumpers, so that needs to match up too. So just a minor little detail thing. And that's what it looks like with the backing plate now now in place, I mean. So the little rubber bumpers kind of cushion that. And I'm missing the little caps. You can see them on the right-hand side. Both of those door handles have the covers that go on top that hide the screws. As I mentioned before, those are very rare. They're easy to break, and they're so hard to come by. And they only existed in 2 years, 66 and 67. So those are hard to come by. All right, doing a little last prep work on the rear bumper. I took that bracket loose and reset the light in there, and I need to flip it over and see what it looks like. Well, that bumper's a lot heavier when it's fully loaded. How did I do? Okay, yeah, I don't see that piece sticking through anymore, so I did good there. And I got some debris there too. I don't know where that stuff came from. I'll have to wipe that off. But anyway, so the bumper, as far as I'm concerned, is ready to be installed. Now I do have, well, actually that's not true. I got this piece right here. I need to see if I can even install this. I don't know if it'll even work or not. I need to clean it up a little bit first. I'll use some of that metal polisher stuff I used on the bumper. Let's see if that'll fit in there. So that'll be the next step. All right, so I've determined that I'm not going to be able to install this piece here where it belongs in front of the bumper. I did polish it up with my powder. I mean, with my uh, that special polishing compound. But because of the repair that was done here, it doesn't even fit in place. So even if I wanted to try and get it in there, that's not going to happen. So rather than mess around with this, I'm just going to leave that part off. I can still install the bumper, and someday in the future when this rear bumper is, or this rear fender is repaired or replaced, I can worry about that piece again. So I also need to polish this side. I haven't done that yet, so I'll do that real quick too before I put the bumper on. All right, so I polished up that end piece, that trim piece, as best I could. And here it is. This is what I stuff. I couldn't remember what it's called. Never know. That's what it was. So now I think I'm ready to install the bumper, or attempt to anyway. In a manner similar to the way I did the front bumper, I've got a couple of buckets here to raise it up. And one of the things that's a little tricky about doing this is you've got to feed the wiring harness is through the holes in the back of the car here as you're trying to lift it up into place. And there's these two main ones. You've also got the license plate light that's got to feed in. Somewhere there's a tiny hole. There it is right there for the license plate light. And then the reverse lights are on the end here. All those wires got to feed in as you're trying to install this. I have a friend who's going to help me later. I'll lift it up into place while he should be able to get a couple of nuts started up here on the top just to hold it in place so I can finish up. This assembly here, which actually belongs here, this little part, the keeper for the square nut had broken off, and I thought maybe I could clean it up, use some JB Weld or something, but I don't know how well that's really going to hold, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just going to save that for a future project, because this bumper will definitely be off the car again at some point in the future, so I'm not going to worry about stuff like that right now. So next step is to attempt to lift this up so I can get the wiring in place and then get the studs here through the holes. These other two were supposed to be studs too, but the nuts didn't come off of those, so they're more like bolts now, but that's fine. They still work. Some other very detailed adjustment that I'm concerned about is that on one of these studs, there's a spacer right here, which means it pushes the bracket a little bit back from the car, but that's the only spacer I see. So I don't know if it's because this bumper had been off the car before and whoever put it back on just didn't bother with the spacers. And what's more, I don't know if I need to bother with the spacers. It almost looks like this part of the bracket is a little bit lower than this side. Just eyeballing it, it's hard to say for sure, but it almost looks that way. So I'm thinking maybe I do need those spacers. So I'm half thinking of putting at least a couple of thick washers on one of them or something. I really don't know if I need to worry about that or not, especially because this is a temporary installation anyway. All right, more prep work that I've done. I decided I didn't feel comfortable not putting some washers on here because there was one over there, so I decided to even everything out. May or may not make a difference, I don't know, but I feel better. I also decided to put all the studs back where they belong, so now I've got 4 studs here that'll poke through the holes there, and then I can catch them with the nuts on the other side. I think that'll work a lot better. Do the same thing over here, and like I said, this 4th one, I'm just not going to worry about that one right now. Sometime in the future, so I'll save the part that goes there for some future work to fix that. Right now, I'm just waiting for my friend to come by so he can help me as I lift up this bumper. He's going to get a couple of nuts started on the other side to hold it in place. All right, I'm going to make an attempt here by myself before my friend shows up, just to see if I can do it by myself. As you can see, I've got the bumper supported on a couple of buckets. I'm close to where the holes go right here, if I'm lucky, and if I can get a nut started on one side, that's really all I need. So we're going to try this and see what happens. Wish me luck. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens here. Am I close? Well, guess I need to do both sides. Oh boy. Where are you? Okay, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. Theoretically, it seems like it should just slide right in there, but of course it's not. Let's see what I'm doing wrong. Wow. Okay, well. All right, I'm not sure what's going on here, but I need to pause and reassess, I think. All right, I'm gonna make another attempt here. Didn't really see anything obvious. I'm just gonna lift it up and try again. Oh shoot. And there went a washer. Okay, this is kind of a pain in the butt. This thing is heavy. All right. Come on, baby. All right. Tip number 2, no good. All right, I figured out the problem. The left side I was able to get started, but the right side, because of the terrible repair that somebody did with some Bondo or whatever they used over here, this part of the fender is hanging down too low. And my right bumper piece is hitting it when I try to lift it up to where the bolts will go inside. And they're not quite reaching because it's hitting right here, or at least it was. Maybe I can try a little harder now that I got one bolt started on the other side. So I'm going to keep working on this. This is a little harder than I thought it would be. Certainly harder than the front bumper. All right, before I can go any further anyway, I still need to get the wiring harnesses through their respective holes. Whoa, right here is for the right side, that goes in that hole. And you can see the reverse light wire hanging right here, goes through that hole right there. And the other side's a little tighter. Well, here I can do this one. This is, it goes right there. And then the license plate light goes right there. And then the reverse light, kind of hard to get to already. I should have tried to feed that through. So I may probably have to crawl underneath the car, see if I can see it from underneath before I do anything else. All right, good news. I was able to just fight with it some more. And I guess it's close, but there's enough room to get this on there, obviously. What I had to do from behind is push all of these studs over to the right so they would mesh up to the holes. And I got one nut started here. Going to snug it up a little bit more so it doesn't go anywhere. There's no washer there yet, but there will be. That's just to hold it in place for safety reasons. Now I can go back on this side and remove the nut that I had started over here so I can get that reverse light wire in place, and then I'll be able to continue tightening all the bolts up and nuts. I was double checking my wiring, make sure everything got through the holes like they're supposed to. Got the reverse light through on the left side, the 2 center plugs for the brakes and signal lights and all that. This is the license plate light. And then when I came over here to look at the right reverse light, I discovered that the wire had pulled out of my butt splice. I guess that's a reason why it's not always good to use butt splices. So I'm going to have to redo that before I do anything else. So let me work on that. All right. Got a couple of butt splices on either end now. I actually found the original plug that was still inside the FEMA part of this, so I used that. This is a thicker wire too, which is a good thing, I guess. And I just made darn sure that I had this nice and tight. Doesn't look like it's going to come off, so that should work. We'll test that eventually when I get the steering column back in the car, whenever that happens to be. So now I will continue on with putting the nuts on top and the bolts on the bottom to finish securing the bumper. All right, the bumper is now secured to the car. All bolts and nuts are locked in place. I'm satisfied. I struggled a lot getting things lined up. It took a while, but everything's lined up now. You can really see how damaged this fender is. The bond and everything doesn't look good at all, but the bumper itself, I believe, is fitting like it should. And I talked about this before too. The deck lid itself is also bent, so it doesn't match real pretty up with the trunk. The bumper, that is. I think that's because it was hitting back here. I need to replace the deck lid eventually, but the bumper installation is complete, and it looks pretty good, I think. I'm satisfied. I'm going to test the lights now too before I say I'm completely done. Alright, now that the rear fender is done, I'm going to start the next big project for today, which involves lowering the rest of the dash so I can get to the nuts that are hidden under here that hold the steering column in place. So in order to get to that, other things have to come off first. Sill plates on both sides of the door have to be removed, and the kick panels that'll expose some bolts that are holding the lower part of the dash in. Once all that's loose, it should just kind of fall out. I don't really need to pull it completely out of the car, I hope. I just want to gain access to behind here where those nuts are, so I can repair those. That's the main goal here. One other thing I forgot to mention, I was not able to check any lights in the back on the rear bumper because I tore the dash all apart, the switches and the wiring and all that. So I'll test that later when this eventually gets reassembled. One thing I wanted to point out too is on these sills right here, you have to use actually this doesn't even work. A stubby screwdriver isn't even small enough. You have to use one of them right angle Phillips screwdrivers to get the one screw that's right there to get it out. And then there's another two right there, and then this will lift up. So here's the right angle screwdriver. Even with this, it's still tight, but it's enough. You just have to keep working that screw out of there. All right, removing the kick panel was a challenge because there was a screw that was hidden. I had a hard time finding it, but I finally found it. You try to pull it out without taking that screw off, you're going to rip this panel all apart. You don't want to do that. Now, with that panel out of the way, here are the two bolts that I was trying to get to right there. I believe they're 1/2-inch bolts. There's two of them, and there's a pair just like that on the other side. So I'll take those off, get through to the other side as well, and then all the ones that are up top. And I believe that's enough to drop the dash, but we'll find out. All right, I just finished removing the last 3/8 bolts that were at the top here after removing the two sets of 1/2-inch bolts underneath, and the whole thing immediately fell loose, which is good. I just hope I'm not damaging any of the ductwork that's in here for the air conditioning system while I'm doing this, but I'm hoping to remove it just far enough to get to these nuts that I've been talking about. So I'm going to work on this a little bit more, see how much more I can lower it without damaging anything. So it turns out the parking brake assembly is attached right here to the dash and in the back there against the firewall. So I'm going to try just unscrewing the, I don't know, I'll just do these first and see if I can, no, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to take the whole parking brake assembly off at the firewall. I think it's just those two bolts I see in the back, so I'm going to work on that. All right, I finally got the dash moved enough. I did have to disconnect the ductwork to get it to release a little further. Hopefully I didn't damage anything. I don't think I did. So finally I can see, I don't know if my camera is focusing right there. If you look straight down, that's one of the square nuts, and it's messed up. The one on the other side, I don't know if you can even see it in the camera angle here. It's really hard to see, but it's right here. I know you can't see that, but anyway, there's the other one doesn't even have the nut there. It's not even there. So what I'm going to do is go to a hardware store and get a brand new set of bolts and square nuts and get them mounted in there. I think I should be able to use the cages that are in there already just to bend them up a little bit, and then put new square. Oh, there it is on the floor. This is the other square washer that came out. So I'll just replace all that with new stuff. So I think I'm going to wrap it up for today so I can go to the part stores and get a few parts